Mere mortals, mere mortalites, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, one and all, to another Meanderings. We're going to talk about some bullshit.
Yep.
But no preamble, I'm just getting straight in. My mere mortal moment. Where would I be in life without baking soda? Stinky, that's where. For those, there's a public service announcement.
I definitely hate this. This is going to be good.
Public service announcement to everyone out there. If you have a body odor issues, as I used to when I was a bit younger, and it plagued me quite a bit. I was always, especially on the bus, I'd notice that was where I'd really notice it on myself. Bus to and from uni, mostly from uni. End of the day, just all that nervousness from social anxiety from being in uni, the whole day, sweating and whatnot. And I'm a profuse sweater. I would just have continual body odor, and it was really, really bad. Okay. And then I discovered baking soda.
The power of baking soda.
The wonderful, magical world of baking soda. So I found this on, actually through Roosh V, who I owe this to. I read a blog post of his talking about baking soda because he had a very similar problem to me. And yeah, simple enough, like a little pinch in the morning, spread it out under your armpits. You pretty much sweat, set. You'll still sweat. You'll still sweat. But it won't have the odor. It's just somehow kills it.
What's the chemistry behind that?
I have no idea. I don't really care. I just know it works.
So I'll obviously we're just mere mortals and he's talking shit. But I will warn that the reason people also don't use aluminium style roll-ons. So what's the reason you don't use roll-ons? Just normal deodorants.
Oh, they don't do anything. They mask it, but I find it doesn't mask, like it doesn't stop the odor coming out. Your odor's still there. It just tries to add its own on top of it. And for me, when I use them, it would end up with this sickly sweet smell coming through. Not
blocking it, but just like not adding this extra flavor to it.
Yeah, it wasn't as... it was like, instead of eating a rotten apple, you're eating a rotten apple in cream or something. Okay,
I get it.
It adds a bit of something to it, but there's still the underlying tone of rotten apple, which is not pleasant.
Yeah, it's interesting because
don't they still put aluminium in
they do.
those
They do.
and stuff?
And the reason they do aluminium is because it blocks your pores, and that's the way that they actually try to stop the sweating.
Yeah.
And when I've read into baking soda, that's the same principle. It blocks your pores, which can cause side effects in the rest of your body. That's why I've never been like, oh, okay, I'll never. Now, whether I've cared, I've never cared. I'm just like, whatever, I'll just use roll-ons, I'll use sprays. But I know people out there don't use roll-ons because of the blocking principle, and baking soda, that's its primary way. It'll block your pores.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research. I'd have thought, I mean, it could be. I thought it was something to do with like killing the bacteria or the... I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
No, it's your sweating that's the actual smell.
Yeah, well, I would argue that in terms of... actually, I'll talk about that. You do your mere mortal moment, and then we'll get on to what I was thinking. Cool.
I was going to say, I was going to comment. I was going to be like, man, it's definitely not working because you still stink. But now that I specifically recall it, it's only really when you're working out.
No, that's different. If I work out, that's it.
So if you were smelling like that all the time, then I'd be like, dang. That's horrible. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool.
But see, that's it would be at roughly that level if I didn't use baking soda.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, obviously, if it's helping out, that's cool. Mine is don't be afraid of a little spew, even a few chunks if it's for a good cause. So this tails back to, and I'm going to meander is, do you think that it's ever good to spew?
It's a puke.
Yeah, like a bit of a puke.
I mean, for your body wise, probably no. No, if you let yourself get to that level, probably no. And if you're sick, obviously that means that something's wrong.
Yes, so that's why I little extra there. It's for a good cause, and that happened to me this morning. Oh,
you puked?
So no, it was just at that teetering edge.
Really?
So my workout today, to give you an idea, was my little warm up. I was doing some what's called quality squats, which is low end weight squats, but just all about movement, overhead squats, and some toe to bars. And then I was like, okay, it's my little, which one is it called? It's Get Sweaty. It's called Get Sweaty. And essentially, it's 50 skips, 5 burpees, and 10 pull-ups in 5 rounds as fast as you can possibly go. And my previous best was 7 minutes and 1 second. I thought, okay, I'm going to beat 7 minutes. I'm going to smash it. And I did. I got 6 minutes 30 is what I put down on it. But at the point that I finished, I could feel... oh, yes, I've arrived at the little pain cave. I've arrived at the point where I just laid down, and it was at that boundary where I could almost have just started rolling over and going, okay, no, I need to go throw up right now. Like, it's that level. But I just lay down for an extra 5 minutes and just breathe slowly, let the heart rate slow down, let it go back. And I think it's actually good to get yourself to those points, those little pain caves when it's for a good cause, to actually push your body to that extreme. Not to go beyond it, because I've done that before as well, to go even beyond that. But to get to the point that it's feeling like, okay, your body's really rebelling here. You're getting to like this overwhelming physical exertion. I think that's not too bad.
Okay.
And if you have to throw up, cool, you have to throw up. But I'm not suggesting this if you're drinking. If you're drinking and you have to get to the point of throwing up, then I'd say, okay, no, I don't agree with that. Even a tactical vom. So we saw this not too long ago, a tactical vom. I don't like them either. If you have to do a tactical vom, I'm like, oh, okay, that's getting a little bit too far.
Yeah.
But have you ever, because you haven't really experienced that many times. I know you have sometimes at the gym.
No, not even then. I mean, I'm just trying to think. One time when I was at the gym, where it was just my first session back in, 3 years or something. The very first one, I did squats, light squats. I think it was 60 kg or something. And after them, I just felt really faint, but I didn't feel like puking, I don't think. I'd push back on that. I mean, there's just an old argument we have, which is along the lines of, I'd say going 80% of the time, 100% of the time is better than 100% of the time, 80% of the time.
Oh, I know, but this is also, I'd say, yes, you're correct. This is not a do it every single day. This is it should come up every now and again, but it also shouldn't be the primary way that you operate.
Yeah, I'd even argue, I'd argue that maybe once a year is about the right level.
Oh, totally wrong. Totally wrong, people. And this is only for select places. I'm not going to say that it's for everything. But for the select places where it's a beneficial thing, I think you have to go there quite often. Sorry, the way I'm thinking about it, say if you're trying to be the CrossFit champion or you're trying to be an Olympic runner, I think you have to exert yourself quite often. And if you're sensible to the throwing up and you're scared of that and you're pushing back, then it's like, well, you've got to actually exert yourself to a point.
I reckon we're going to test this out with the marathon. Whoever does the best marathon pace, whoever does the best marathon, that's who you should listen to. I think that's how we should end this argument.
That is so off base.
Why?
With the well,
same thing.
Is it?
Yeah, running. Just you do your running style. I'll do my running style, and your running style has to involve you getting to the point where you want to puke, and then we'll see.
No, I disagree.
Why?
Well, what if I was able to do my sub 4 hours or even 3 hours 45, and it isn't even a puke level? It's just it's a comfortable level.
Well, then you should have worked harder. That's what it sounds like to me.
No, but again, what I'm saying is, sure, you could have. I'm not suggesting that you need to all the time. Sure, if you can win a race without going to that level,
no. I'm not saying win the race. I'm saying training for the race. We're talking about training here.
Oh, then yes. I think I would agree. I think for training, yes, you have to get yourself to some levels.
Do you plan on the training for the marathon getting to running so hard that you want to puke?
No.
Okay.
No. And so maybe there's a difference there because it is a longer form exercise as it is a shorter form exercise.
Okay.
So
why does that make a difference?
Because generally with your high intensity training in the short term is very different to your long term, and the systems that you actually interact is completely different. So when you're talking about long term, you're talking lactic acid, you're talking about anaerobic capacity, you're not talking about the hardcore intensity of mitochondrial energy release in a short bout of time. Same with the power, like the wattage usage. So you're thinking marathon running, you might be doing 300 watts, 350 watts, maybe lower, right? Same thing with Ironman. If you're looking at high intensity, you're looking at 600, 700, 1,000 watts. So
what's the difference between training for a marathon? So you're doing 10K, and so you run the 9K at whatever pace you want, and then that last K you run so hard that you want to puke. What's the
difference between the two of them?
Well, yeah, and what's the difference between doing that versus doing your burpee thing that you did this morning?
Again, energy systems. There's anaerobic and aerobic systems in your body. There's two. They're obviously utilizing same energy principles, but they're very different in the way that they use up and feel as well in your body. If you ever do a really long bike ride, you might not feel that intense high intensity training because it's completely end of the spectrum, and your lactic acid burn as well can be completely different in 2 levels. Same thing with your heart rate variability as well. So the reason you can get really effed up with high intensity training in really short time is the heart variability that you can move up, and the lactic acid threshold can just get pumped up really high. Whereas
do you
a long
think you
swim
could do what I was just saying? So you run 9K and then you treat the last K as if it's high intensity. Do you think that's possible?
I think yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people could.
Yeah.
I don't think that's impossible.
Why aren't you going to do it, Juan?
Oh, I would prefer to do in a long-term version. I would prefer to do a consistent, not the 9Ks, and then just continue to do that last K at that pace. Although I do know me, I would probably try and do that anyways.
Yeah.
That like last 200 meters, I'll be like, yeah, sprint it.
I was just going to say that doesn't sound like you. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I would sprint the last. I would sprint the last K. No way.
All right.
You're not going to see me doing a sprint of the last K of a marathon.
I still reckon.
But 100 meters.
I don't even care. I'm just going to say whoever does the best marathon, that's who you should listen to from now on.
Good.
So we've got a bit of time.
So I'll tell you the future. Just listen to me.
What was I going to say? So we were getting onto the topic. What was the last topic? We were talking about baking soda, deodorants. A thought came into my head. Where'd that conversation go? Where did we follow that to?
You paused it at the point of we're talking about the aluminium and the blocking of the pores, and you said, okay, no.
Oh, yeah. So I remember. So I was going to say, I think that there would be more detrimental effects just because of all the other shit that's in the deodorant cans. And there's a general sort of principle that I follow, which is a more naturalistic approach in a certain sense. So I definitely think that medicine is amazing. Drugs are wonderful. And it does sound like the system is a bit strange with those real long-term ones. Whereas, emergency stuff, it's bang on. That's where, you get the best heart surgeons and doctors and the medicines and anesthesiologists and stuff and all those drugs that they use, and those, wow, amazing. But then it seems to get into problems with the antidepressants, SSRIs, with the real long-term stuff. And that's how I sort of see my long-term health as well. I try and avoid adding external things
at least
long-term
exogenous
basis.
I think you're definitely a person who does not like exogenous products into your body.
Yeah, so I'll say this. Even when I had hair, I stopped using shampoo and gels and stuff because I actually noticed I was using shampoo on my hair and it was making my hair too soft, so then I'd use gel to make it harder. Whereas when I cut both of them out, my hair did what I wanted. So I was like, well, what the hell's going on here?
I mean, but in you saying that, there is reasons behind that, right? There is reasons as to, it's not so much the hair, but it's the root that the shampoo goes and helps out.
I don't know.
And the oils. So I think I hate when people have these conversations. So because, and it's not that I know it, it's that I think a lot of people say like, oh, especially people who want to be like, oh, I want to be all natural. I want to be completely natural. Cool. That's totally fine. I think that's a good way, especially if you can move away from using medicines for any like exogenous medicines or exogenous substances, so that you can get a point. If you can do that naturally, either internal or from natural sources, like cool, go that way.
Yeah.
But when people start going down the path of, oh yes, I don't use shampoo because it's I have to put gel. I'm like, well, what's the actual reason people use shampoo? And I think superficially people think, oh well, it makes my hair feel soft, or it makes it feel clean,
nice,
or smell nice. And it's actually the main reason of shampoo that you should be using is the cleaning of the oil your hair follicles on the oil there. But most people just don't even probably even put it now.
Is that really the main reason?
There's one. No, it is one of the reasons, and I would say it's one of a core reason as to why you should clean your pores. Right now, is there other reasons? Sure. If you can find a replacement that's natural, even better. Like if you can keep healthy oil in your hair and you're cleaning your pores and stuff like that.
What happens if you don't clean?
Oh, well, that's what I mean. I don't know. Like, and that's what I'm saying. It's I when it comes to a lot of things, I'm like, I have no idea. But I hate when people just throw out a comment when it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm natural. Like I don't go and I only use. I'm just trying to think of an example. Whatever, maybe let's go something random, stupid, like a laptop, and they go, oh well, I've got a laptop, and but I only have material that's made in whatever place or somewhere where it doesn't defect my skin or something like that. I think, okay, well that's sure, fine, totally. What are you losing because of it? And also, even though that's that, are you finding that in other places? Are you doing that for absolutely everything? And I think people just don't think about it deeply enough. And it's not to say that it's that I know. It's like I just think if you've thought it out, you can respond to it. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. Then that makes total sense.
Yeah, I'll push back a little on that. I'm not going as far as I think the people you're thinking of, which is, extreme.
I'm talking deep and extreme.
Yeah, but I would say, I just push back a little bit on the oils, and you couldn't really explain to me why cleaning out your pores is good. And just anecdotally, I didn't notice any. My hair wasn't falling out because I wasn't washing my hair. I was still, just using water and rubbing my hair and stuff, but I wasn't adding stuff into it. I would say if you look at the advertising and how it's advertised to people, I don't think they're advertising that it cleans out the pores. It's like this fruity, fresh smell. It makes the hair shiny. It makes
Have you actually looked at a proper ad for shampoo?
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. Remember, like all of them. It's like the bikey dude with the long hair. He dunks it in.
Oh yes, yep.
Throws it up, and then it's all shiny and silky and smooth, and it's sort of a more sex appeal thing, rather like.
Sure, that's what sells. Yes.
Yeah.
And if you look at the bottle of a shampoo, though, you'll also see the maybe a little snippet of oils, blah blah. That's what it does to your hair. So, like, it does do that. That if it's a saleable or the marketable thing, no, it definitely isn't. It's kind of like suggesting. If you're trying to sell someone like a gym, sure, a core part of it might be that you're going to be in pain or you're going to feel the strain and the stress, but it's not the sexy bit that you might want to sell. You might sell something other part of it that's like, good culture and a good fit or anything else. So,
but that's what I was saying. I don't think people wash their hair for the oils. I think they wash their hair to make it look sexy.
Agreed. I definitely agree, and I think that's where that's where my brain goes to automatically when a lot of people say like, oh, well, I don't need to do this, make it shiny because, I can do this for something else. And I'm like, okay, well, is that something else also benefiting you in the way maybe the shampoo or whatever other product was doing as well? And if they just haven't even thought about it at all, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, sure, that's maybe something worth to actually think about. Same thing with, let's talk about it in more negative effect. So one good thing that you don't do is have coffee. Like, say, have
I don't
caffeine.
know if it's a good thing or not, but I don't.
Let's say caffeine. When someone says, "Oh, I'm not going to have any more coffee anymore," and they say, "Okay, why?" Well, it's making me tired. I'm crashing. Fantastic, but I can also explain to you how the benefits of caffeine. Like, there is benefits to caffeine at particular dosages. So you can't just vindicate and say like, "Well, it's totally bad. I'm not going to have it." No, there's actually benefits to it. If you overdo them, just like everything. Like if you shampoo your hair every single day or twice a day, sure, that's going to result in some deficiencies as well. It's don't obviously always the extremes will result in a bad thing. But have you ever come across someone who's super extreme in a lot, like not just one thing but just a lot of things?
Oh yeah, I'm sure I have, but I probably wouldn't have explored the topic maybe
or even like wanted to continue with it.
I guess so just going back to my general philosophy, it's just if unless it's shown to like really be proven to really be effectful. So if I'm low on magnesium, I'd rather get it through eating, I don't know, like broccoli. Broccoli has a lot of magnesium, right? And I'd rather be getting it through that method rather than
supplementing with magnesium.
Yeah. And you not that I think supplements are particularly doing any damage, but once again, it's just the general sort of trend that I have, which is if it has a list of 100 ingredients on it, like most of the shampoo bottles and things like that. Yeah, I'm a bit hesitant. What do you reckon about the now widespread use of hand sanitizer, basically everywhere? Do you think that's detrimental to people's health?
Only if it's been until I see some scientific proof to state that it has.
So I think I definitely think there's stuff out there showing that if you're a regular hand sanitizer, it's definitely killing all the bacteria on your hands, which is sort of bad for you. Sort of like your microbiome. Like if you mess that up through antibiotics, that's kind of bad.
Oh, I agree.
Same sort of thing, but on the skin surface.
That's also a weird one. So so on the surface, same thing. Tongue, same thing. So people talk about the hand one. So with the hand sanitizer, and it like goes and messes it up. I think, sure, it does. Cool. What's the actual side effect of not having it there? Like, for a long time. So, again, extremes. If you're hand sanitizing every minute, what's that issue? It's probably going to be substantial. If
Well,
you're doing
let's not say it every minute. Let's
but
say
if you're
every
saying,
hour.
If you're saying every hour because you're going somewhere, I don't think that there's a negative effect that's even like it's negligible at that point. I think it just there's no real issue.
Okay.
I wouldn't see an issue to it, but if it obviously came out that you do this and in 10 years your hands fall off, then okay, right, I'll have a think about it. But until I see some discussions around that,
I'm going to look that up because I think there is a bit of research saying that if you use hand sanitizer, once 12 times a day sort of thing, I think there is some research saying that.
But then I've seen also research talking about
effects.
how keeping a mouth too clean also reduces the microbiome that exists in your mouth. And so there's the whole conversation of, well, should you actually be brushing your teeth once a week?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of those conversations. And again,
that's
you
interesting
can actually find sites to both of them. So I've looked into this a few times. You can find the ones that tell you that, you should actually be brushing twice a day and blah, blah, blah. And they're generally sponsored by Colgate and Procter & Gamble and all of them. And then there's independents which say, actually, no, you should only do it once a week. You should never should never clean out in the middle of your teeth and stuff like that. So there's
Really?
both of the equation, 100%. But if you go to your doctor, they might go, okay, well, no, actually, this is what you should do.
Oh man, I don't think I could get on board with that.
And I've talked to people who are on board with you should never brush your teeth.
How yellow are their teeth?
Oh, I didn't really take notes, but they probably were. And what I'm saying is, I think whatever you want to try and believe as well, I think you can go and find the support for it. Like if you want to go and find that a UFO exists, you're going to find it. You're going to go and search for it, and you're going to find it. And the technology is going to allow you to go and congregate with other people who also support your view. So, I look in saying all this, I do assign myself to that philosophy that you should be keeping it as simple as possible and as natural as possible. So if I can be getting all my protein as well from just food, sure. The only reason I have protein shakes now is purely more for I'm running late, I need to have a snack, or it's got to have an extra bit of protein. That's where it is. But if I can be getting it from a steak or peas or lentils, cool, I'll just get it from that. That's probably a better result. Actually, one interesting thing, but I won't delve deep into this one, was they were talking about, okay, well, let's look at supplement versus food. And so you're talking, say, a tomato versus supplementing for the things that will give you the ability to, the nutrients of that of tomato. And you can look up all you want, the tomato should be better. But they were doing this proof that because of the way tomatoes are grown, and a lot of other food is grown nowadays, especially the dirt that they use, or if it's hydroponic or anything else, it lacks all of the nutrients which generally get deported from the sun through the earth into the soil and into a plant. So a lot of the food that you're eating, unless it's truly organic or truly from really nutrient-dense soil, you might as well just be having supplements. It's almost like, sure, you can think it, but it's like food's not equated equal. Yeah. And that's why, instance, Dave Asprey lives over in Canada in his own farm with all this homegrown food and stuff like that. Now, does it give it? Is it more than negligible? Like, is it some better support to the system? Maybe over 100 years. Is it worth it? Then it's like, maybe. If you're an immortal being that was living tens of thousands of years, I think maybe at that point you might start considering, okay, well, over that lifespan, maybe it is worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a difference.
I read this book called The Dorito Effect once.
The Dorito Effect. I like that.
And it's
what a cool name.
Sort of just talking about how, I guess, like the invention of MSG and how food has changed over basically since, compare food from the 1920s to like 2020. And it was this guy who was going down just this route of looking at, obviously with the GMOs, genetically modified organisms. I'm not sure what the O stands for.
GMO.
The crops. So that's where, you sort of through selective breeding, you're choosing the best crops with the best yields, mixing strands to get bug-resistant ones that also have, great yields and which also are, able to be transported, can handle hot and cold simultaneously for logistics and, all these different things, amazing things that humans can come up with. And he was talking about, I don't think it was a nostalgia for the past in the book. There was a sort of semi-nostalgia where he was saying, he basically, one of the things he ended up doing was he got like these heirloom tomatoes, so tomatoes that were, unaltered from
way back when,
100 years ago. These chickens and whatnot that had been, were like an original strand of chicken, not the broiler chicken.
Yeah,
so
okay,
it wasn't like,
yep.
you know, the fat, overfed, jacked ones.
Jacked
It was
chickens,
the smaller chickens. And he was talking about, you know, how he organized this big meal where everything in it was essentially a non-modified one.
Yep.
And the thing is, though, to feed a bunch of people like that, the resources required for that
like
is
extreme, yeah.
is absolutely extreme. You probably killed 100 African people because, you know, those resources could be used for them or whatnot. I actually bought some. So after reading this book, I went to the farmers markets in West End on a Saturday. I bought some heirloom tomatoes.
Yep.
They taste just as shit as normal tomatoes. So Dorito Effect has been confirmed.
Yeah.
Busted. Myth busted.
I don't really like tomatoes, although I've started to grow. I've started to enjoy the palate of a lot of taste. Yeah. I used to be really terrible when I was younger. Mum would know. I would eat. I would want to eat very few things, but that has developed a lot.
Yeah,
since
me
I
too.
was younger.
I'm much better. I can have tomatoes when it's like masked by things, so like pico de gallo, so where it's, you know, mixed with. Why is it called cilantro in America? Everyone was saying cilantro when I was traveling. I'm like, what the shit is that? It's coriander.
Oh man,
Come on, people, come on. Anyway, when it's mixed with that and lime and red onion, yeah, it's pretty good. I can get on board with that. But tomato on its own, no.
I could eat a tomato like an apple.
Yeah.
No, I could. Yeah. But then again, I just stopped caring about any food. It's just like, okay,
That's it.
if
Juan
it's edible,
has
I'll
no
just do
taste
that.
buds.
Yeah.
It's because he brushes his teeth too much.
That's right. That is true. All right, folks. That's it from Meanderings.
Yeah, I think that's good.
The sun's starting to hit my side, and I'm enjoying it. But
To be honest, man, the hats.
I can feel it.
I can feel the breeze.
Feel it.
I can feel the breeze.
When I swap it out sideways, I can feel a little bit of the breeze going on my neck where I was sweating.
Yeah,
so
I had it
actually quite good.
back facing for a little bit, and I didn't notice it. But then I switched it around to the front. And
No, man. When I go backwards, I can feel it even more.
Yeah. So for those who are just listening, we've got hats with inbuilt fans on them. Yeah, I know. I wish you were cool as us. Once showing again the speed. If you look on mine, you can maybe see it going. I don't know. Anywho, I think we'll call it for there. That was another meandering
session, folks. We're down at Kangaroo Points as always. If you want to come down and check it out live.
Yeah, that's
obviously
it.
Pop down Saturday mornings. It's between 7 and 9 a.m. at some point in there.
We're almost every Saturdays. I would say so. We missed the other week.
Yep, as we were away.
Yes,
we might be missing a few. Obviously, coming into the Christmas break as well. But
exactly.
If in the new year you have a goal to catch up with the mere mortals, that is how you're going to do it.
That's a pretty good goal, man.
That is how you're going to do it.
That's a great goal.
Put it down. Top
excellent
goal.
Way to finish it off.
Good.
And
folks, mere mortals. One out.
Current out.